Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being with me. Today, we are in the second chapter of the minor prophet in the Old Testament, Habakkuk. And I want to share with you the meaning or the message of chapter 2 and then close with my devotional thought. And as you're opening your Bible there, I also want to remind you that this Saturday is our women's event. We'll have well over 300 women here. And you be praying for God to do a wonderful work in their lives and for even more ladies to show up this Saturday. I think it's at 10 o'clock is when it starts. The end of chapter 1 in verses 12 and following, the prophet asked God a question. He asked God, why would he use the Babylonians to judge or punish Jerusalem and Judah when the Babylonians were even more sinful, more evil than the people of Judah, the people of Jerusalem? And he also asked God, how long will it be until you judge and punish Babylon for what they do? And in verse 1 of chapter 2, the prophet is standing at attention, waiting for God to answer. But he has the right attitude, the right disposition. There's no arrogance. He's willing for God to correct him, to punish him, to reprove him. Look at verse 1. I will stand on my guard post. God, I'm standing here like a guard waiting for your answer, and station myself on the rampart. I will keep watch to see what he will speak to me, what God will speak to me, and how I may reply when I am reproved. How I may reply when I am reproved. He was open to God reproving him, correcting him, even chastising him. So he had the right attitude when he was asking God these questions. And that's an important lesson. Thinking back to Job and what we read here, it's okay to ask God questions, but the attitude you have when you ask them matters. And so the rest of chapter 2 is God answering Job. Answering Habakkuk, the prophet. And God essentially says that I know how sinful Babylon is, and that yes, she is worse than Jerusalem and Judea, that Babylon and her army and her leaders, they are violent, they shed innocent blood, they are greedy, they throw drunken parties and orgies, they are proud, arrogant, filled with idolatry. And God says, but I know how to deal with Babylon. Okay, don't worry about that. I know how to deal with Babylon. And Babylon will be judged in time. Not right now, but in time, Babylon will be judged, and she will be plundered, and she will be treated just the way she's treating others. In verse 8 of chapter 2, because you have looted many nations, here's God speaking to Babylon, because you have looted many nations, all the remainder of the peoples will loot you. They'll turn against you eventually. Because of human bloodshed and violence done to the land, to the town, and all its inhabitants. In other words, God says, just like you are looting all these other nations and peoples, they will turn around and one day you will be looted. What you are doing will one day be done to you. So, hey, Habakkuk, yes, I know how bad they are, but I can take care of them. I can handle them. I can deal with Babylon, and one day Babylon will be judged. But for right now, for this moment, I'm using Babylon to judge my people. See, the truth is that, and Jeremiah makes this same point. There are times in history when God uses evil people, evil nations, evil leaders to judge others, to punish others. That God sometimes will use evil to judge other evil, to punish other evil. So that's a teaching from this chapter. Now, devotionally, what spoke to me, and it has for years, is verses 18 and 19. Let's read it and then talk about it. He says, what profit is the idol when its maker has carved it? Take a piece of wood and you carve a figurine as an idol. You set it on a mantle and you worship it. You chisel something out of stone. You make something out of metal or glass. And you put it over here on a pedestal and you bow down to it. What profit is the idol when its maker, the person who created it, carved it, or an image, an idol, a painting, a teacher of falsehood? For its maker trust in his own handiwork. He's trusting in the very thing he created. It's kind of silly when you think about it. When he fashions speechless idols, they can't talk, but he carves them. Verse 19, woe to him who says to a piece of wood, awake! To a mute stone, arise! And that is your teacher? Behold, it is overlaid with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all inside it. Now, yesterday, we talked about subjective morality and subjective truth versus objective, and that their God was their own power, and how in today's culture people worship themselves. They create truth. There is no absolute truth, and I have my truth and you have your truth, and it's right for me and wrong for you, and all. They become their own God. The truth is they're doing the same thing the ancient peoples did in verses 18 and 19, worshiping an idol of their own making. No, they don't carve a figurine. They don't chisel stone and create a figurine. They don't use metal and fashion a figurine and call it a god. They just, in their own mind, in their own emotions, in their own heart, they create their own God in the image of themselves. And they are the authority. They are the power. They are the truth. Neglecting the truth forgetting the truth that we are created in the image of God, not God created in our image. People today create a little God in their own image who looks like them, thinks like them, feels like them. They create their God. But the truth is, they are created by the God who will one day judge them. And they will find their little idol of self-worship will be just as powerless as the carved idols of the Babylonians. It's tragic. It's tragic. That's the word for today. I'll see you tomorrow as we look at Habakkuk chapter 3. God bless you, everybody.